It's time to get casually uncomfortable. News Edition with your host, Chuck Jerome. Viewer discretion is advised. What is going on, everybody? How you doing? Hope the week is well. Hope it's not too crazy for you. Hopefully you're getting some shit done. Because the week is almost over. Yeah, that's why I love doing this in the middle of the week. If you're having a shitty start to your week, you know old Chucky boy is going to be there to make you laugh. Find some shit online that'll make you go, whoa! Because I know it does to me. All right, let's get into it. This first article, it's out of North Carolina. And what happened was administrators were informed that a fight was going to take place at a high school. And this is back in October. Now, when that was, that information was thrown out there, they upped the security. And now, this school resource officer is, he's going to jail. Probably at some point. For now, he was suspended. And I like this. Without pay. And you're like, oh my gosh, Chuck, what happened? Well, he's suspended without pay for excessive force. Because what this guy decided to do was he decided to be a hero when they needed security. So the fight's going on. When a fight goes on in a high school, a crowd forms. You're not going to be able to, get in there. You're going to be angry, upset, irritated. So when someone doesn't stop fighting, you're going to be pissed off. And there's a video that goes along with this. When I found the article, the video was right there. A lot of these articles don't have the video right there. Normally I stumble upon the video and then I go, oh, wow, let me look into this a little bit more. No. This video was right here, and the officer grabbed the child, picked her up, and slammed her head first into the ground. And when I tell you the sight and the sound of that was fucking hard to watch. Ugh. Listen, I put all my articles on Facebook. So if you go to Casually Uncomfortable on Facebook, you will see that I have all the articles that I'm talking about right now, and then you can click on them and look at them yourself. You can do your own little investigating. But I'm telling you, the fucking sound that came off of that girl's head as her head smacked off the concrete. Ooh, listen, it was so bad that everybody there crowded around and fighting stopped what they're doing, and they went, ooh. And then she immediately lost consciousness and experienced a seizure. School security is not above the law. You're not a superhero. You're there to, pull someone away and even, push someone away with, moderate force. Not pick them up and power bomb them onto the ground like some kind of psycho wrestler. No. Like, all these people that have badges, they take their job to a whole nother level where they're just not supposed to be. And now, no matter what, this girl is not going to be the same. I don't know, man. This is just the wildest shit that I see, I hear. Like, I really enjoy doing this Wednesday edition, news edition, because it really allows me to get into the news. When you're younger, you don't care about the news as much. And then when you get older, you see the news and you're like, holy shit, that's going on over there or over here or up there, down there. Like, it is wild. Like, the rest of these articles that I have found for this week, wow. So, we'll definitely hear about this guy again. Just fucking crazy, man. This article I found is about a girl in Florida who burglarized over 200 homes for years. And it wasn't even a mistake that she made. Like, she was covering up there was no fingerprints, no nothing. She was good at her job. And it says she netted approximately $7 million during her spree. And she's older now, and she's had time to look at her mistakes. And this is all shit that happened back in 2011. And she talks about how she went about just robbing people blind. She said she avoided the ultra-wealthy mansions that advertised their security systems with signs and stickers. And instead, she looked for properties in cul-de-sacs or homes that were backed up to a quiet two-way street. And she only stole one specific item, gold. And I'm like, wow, this girl is vicious. And this was just fun for her. And she also talked about how she preferred rainy days because people were inside, away from their lawns. There were no landscapers, no joggers, and the neighbors, weren't out to catch her being a shitty human being. And then they also said she would often dress in medical scrubs and pose as a worker from a dog med spa to gain access to the home. So if no one answered the door, she would knock on the window, call out names, make it seem like she was concerned for someone inside. And then she said if she still didn't get a response, she would use a fucking glass cutting tool to enter through the master bedroom window. See, that's crazy. Nobody's thinking about jumping up to the second floor to get into the master bedroom. Sometimes the master bedroom is going to be on the first floor. Sometimes it's going to be in the second. But still, like, just locating that, you're fucking vicious. And she said, oh, what about, if the house had a dog, guess what? I wasn't worried. I'd have steak, I'd have chicken, I'd have motherfucking snacks. Didn't matter how vicious the dog was, that motherfucker would always take snacks. So she could do whatever she wanted to do. And then she finished up by talking about how she would go to this Home Depot-like store, but it wasn't Home Depot. It was independently run, and the owner was a shady character, and he would allow her to use his machinery to melt down the gold into 5-ounce bricks, and then she would sell those bricks to collectors and then give this guy a small cut for letting her use his machinery. Well, the only reason her luck ran out was because the owner started getting into other shady businesses, which had the police looking at him, and they caught on to her coming in there with the empty bags, leaving with the full bag and shit like that. So that was the only way. So if this fucking shady fucking store owner didn't start doing other bullshit, this girl could potentially still be out there just robbing motherfuckers blind. But she doesn't do that anymore. She's apparently, on the straight and narrow, and she talks about this on YouTube and TikTok and shit like that. And I think I'm going to actually sit down and listen to her story, because this was just the overview of the story. She probably goes into detail of different places. And I want to see. I want to listen to some crazy shit. Because there's crazy people out there. How can I make money and not have to actually work and still have my whole fucking day ahead of me? I'll rob a motherfucker. And that's what she did. So be careful. Be careful. All right. So, I really didn't want to talk about this son of a bitch. But there's probably people out there that don't know what's going on. And this is the name of the episode, 1.25 million. And the reason I put that up there is because, out in Tennessee, there is a dude named Chud the Builder. And what he does is he paints himself as a First Amendment advocator. And what he does is he goes around to random black people. And, he starts normally by being all chummy with them. And he's like, hey, man, how do you feel about First Amendment speech? Should anybody be able to say whatever they want? And, the person's like, yeah, whatever, say whatever you want. And then he starts just throwing out the N-word. And then as soon as the person gets upset, he will direct it towards them. Just the hard R. Okay? I'm not going to get into that. I don't want to, completely make anybody uncomfortable. But yeah, he gets into it. And he's like, I could say whatever I want. Now, yeah, that's right. That's right. But at this point, you're antagonizing people. That's not part of the deal. You're getting people riled up for no reason. And again, yeah, you can say whatever you want. Like, I don't care what people say. Just, leave me alone. Leave whoever alone. You can talk about however you want, whatever you want. But don't direct it towards anybody. Because you don't know what kind of person that is or what kind of day that person's having. And they may not care about freedom of speech. All they might want to do is free their fucking hands up and whoop your ass. You don't know. But this guy kept doing it, became famous for it, and he met up with the wrong motherfucker. And the guy wasn't about him acting all crazy like that and put his hands on the streamer, on Chud. I don't want to keep saying his name, so I'm just going to call him the streamer. I don't want to give him that much, publicity. But, yeah, you can't be putting your hands on people. And the streamer likes to keep a gun on him. And what he did was he shot at the guy. And I say at the guy because he also shot himself and the guy. Then you could see a bullet ricochet. And this all happened outside of a fucking Tennessee courthouse. And that was the biggest thing. The judge was like, dude, you did this outside of a courthouse. You're fucking done, buddy. And so he made his bond $1.25 million. That is crazy. And there's video of that. It's not like the best video, but there's video of it out there. You can't listen. People don't care what the amendments say sometimes. You cannot just go up and just be antagonizing people because, again, you don't know what people have, what they have done, how their day has been. I know people can't just go around putting their hands on people, but it happens. You're having a bad day and someone calls you a cocksucking motherfucker. And let's say you're like, hey, man, just, I'm going to let this one slide. Leave me the fuck alone. And they're like, I'm not going to leave you alone, pussy. You're like, hey, dude, just going about your day. Leave me alone. And then the person goes, fuck you, bitch. And then you go, all right, cool. I'm going to show you a bitch. And then that person gets their ass handed to them. Look, if you would have just kept your mouth shut and left someone alone, you wouldn't be in intensive care, you know? But this guy was all about pushing buttons. And it would just enrage me every time I saw him. You know, I get it. Say what you want. Say what you want. But I think the freedom of speech, they're talking more like, protests and shit like that. And, there was no online, there was no streaming back in those days. I mean, and back then they were just saying the N-word like it was and, but, and or. They were fucking junctioning that word into every other fucking sentence. Those were the times. But guess what? Those aren't the times now. So just like when I heard when I growing up and shit, talk shit, you get hit. Hey, that's another amendment. The freedom of talking shit and getting hit. Don't quit fucking with people. That's all I'm saying. Just quit fucking with people. Because now this guy is fucked. And the last part about it is people have pledged and raised over $100,000 for this guy. Because to get out of jail for a $1.25 million bond, you would need $125,000. And people have raised that money, but apparently under Tennessee law, if the money was raised via crowdfunding, it may not be able to be used. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll fucking see. Just leave people alone. Say what you want to say. Don't direct it at anybody. And then, live your fucking life, whatever. So in Connecticut, they're starting to notice that there's cameras all up at Home Depots and Lowe's, and we see those cameras everywhere. But apparently in Connecticut, they're really ramping them up and starting to use them in a different way. The cameras are becoming automatic license plate readers. And they photograph the back of the vehicle, record the plate, log the details, the time, location, shit like that. And then it's just out there in the data world. And I know you see them at Walmart. I see them really, really prevalent at Walmarts and grocery stores. Places that people are stealing shit. They're usually the little blue light that's blinking, that's sitting atop a fucking, looks like a little robot. And it has like a, not a sundial, a sun, damn it. What am I trying to say? A solar generator. Damn, I'm losing my mind. I was like, what am I trying to say here? But you've seen them. They blink blue all over the place. You try and avoid them. You don't try and get too close to them. But now they're going to be ramping things up. And I know it's not just in Connecticut, but it's definitely other places. That shit's taking video. Probably going to be taking audio over the next few years. And then the privacy advocates are worried shoppers may fuck things up. You got someone that's trying to stalk you. They could find that information somehow. I don't know how, but, there's a will, there's a way. That's how those motherfuckers live their lives. But you got to worry about, you're going to hear a lot more about Flock safety cameras. And that's the company or system and all that shit that is allowed to just go in and look at shit. Look at your Ring cameras, all that shit. Hey, There was a Super Bowl commercial. Hey, you're missing a dog? Well, we'll use your Ring cameras all around the area that the dog was last seen to look for it. Then they're going to be using that for more devious and mischievous things. Listen, we're living in a wild time. That's why now I don't want a Ring camera. I don't want any of that shit. I don't know. But I want some kind of security, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. This shit is getting wild. The hackers are getting more hackery, and it's just becoming more fuckery. You know what I'm saying? It's fucked up. That's what I'm saying. So, we'll see. This definitely is going to spread throughout the rest of the year. And every fucking town and city is going to be a fucking camera state. You're not going to be able to hide from anybody. Yeah, we'll see. Let's see how that goes. And then we're going to move on over to Missouri, where a Domino's delivery driver has been charged after allegedly hitting a customer with his car because he was irate that he had not received a tip. That is the world that we are living in right now. Because if I order out anywhere, there's two things I'm going to do. Number one, either I'm going to tip on the card itself so they see that something is there and they don't diddle my food. Or two, if I have cash, I will put in the notes cash tip because I don't want some, unknown bullshit in my food. So I'm not trying to worry about that. But that's the world we're living in, folks. And it says the driver can be seen on video cursing out the customer, calling them fucking rude, and then said, "What are you going to do about it? Come get me." And then he got into his car, and the person who got the delivery said, "You know what? Fuck you. I'm coming out after you." And as the delivery driver is in his car, the guy who got the delivery came up to the front of his car, which is already a bad idea, and started beating on the hood. And the driver hit him and then fucking rolled out. Went back to the Domino's, was doing his thing. Cops come out. The person who got the delivery, they had some scrapes and shit like that. But nothing super crazy. But then you also got to think about this. The driver left the scene of an accident. So now they're being charged with armed criminal actions, first-degree assault, and attempting to leave the scene of an accident. All because they felt not getting a tip was so bad to the point that they physically harmed somebody. Like, look, I work in food service. I've had times where I've gotten no tip. Guess what? I wish the worst on those people, and then I go on about my day. Now, unless the customer is just cussing me out, would I, think bodily harm? Immediate bodily harm. Because if you're not tipping me, I'm going to think a lot of shit. But that doesn't mean I'm going to make a move on the shit that I'm thinking. So I guess the moral of the story is fucking tip. Oh, man, the world is wild, folks. All right, let's keep moving on. This article is called Secret Agent. Apparently, a Southern California mayor has resigned because they have pled guilty to acting as a foreign agent for China. Yes, this is real, and yes, this is some shit out of a movie. It's crazy. So last week, this woman told federal law enforcement that she was secretly serving the interest of China's government, and she pled guilty to a single count of acting as an illegal agent of a foreign government. Listen, this shit is wild. This is where we're at. This is what's happening. Like, wow. Think about that. Who else is planted over here? That's all I'm going to say. Look it up. Go do a little research for yourself. And you'll see how crazy this probably sounds. But it's real. So we're in like a fucking Steven Seagal movie. You know, that's the kind of shit that was going on in his movies. Even though his acting was horrible, the other people did great. All right, got a couple more articles. This one's called Restaurant Gun. And it's because a man was kicked out of a restaurant in Tennessee for attacking a woman. And what he did was he retrieved his gun from his vehicle and started shooting employees. Yeah. Crazy. And this all happened because he was, on the article it says, quote unquote, hitting a woman. And the employees said, hey, you got to get the hell out of here with that bullshit. And he didn't take too kindly to them telling him what to do. And then he goes outside. Well, excuse me, before he does, he looked at the workers and said, you're going to die. And then he went out, got a gun, popped off 9 rounds, and somehow this cocksucker still didn't hit anybody. See? That's what happens when you're a piece of shit. You can't hit shit. And you're just a little bitch. And since this didn't happen on or near or around a courthouse, his bond is $200,000, not $1.25 million. See? Stop being assholes, people. What the fuck? It's ridiculous. And speaking of assholes, this last article, it's talking about a trend that I've noticed on my Instagram timeline. It's called the Heart Butt Challenge. And it's something that went viral over in Japan. And now someone has seen it and they are doing it. And Chuck likes it. So I can't believe I'm talking about this. But whatever. It is what it is. These are the articles I find. So what the challenge is, you bend over at the waist, and then you put your hands together like you're, begging for food or something like that, right? If you put your hands in front of you and you put the palms together, and you're like, some more, please. And, you pretend you're like Oliver Twist. But what you're doing is you bend over at the waist, and you do that same motion, put your hands together, but behind your knees. And normally these people have on dresses, and it flows in such a way that the booty will look like a heart. Yeah, it's a good challenge. It's one of those challenges Chuck can get behind. And I'm happy to be talking about a more positive challenge. I've seen some wild challenges, and you've heard me talk about quite a few. One was I just saw this again on one of my timelines, the boiling water challenge. This girl boiled some fucking water and then threw it on her boyfriend's back, and he is just just blood curdling fucking screams. And I'm like, holy shit. Do you not understand that is boiling water? Like, what the? These people are crazy. But yeah, you got to check out the Heart Butt Challenge. All right, I'm getting out of here. Hit the music. Don't forget Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Casually Uncomfortable, Twitter at Casually Unchuck. Let your friends know. All right, I'll see you later. Have a great weekend. Be safe, have fun. And as always, don't be a piece of shit. Peace.